Welcome, everyone. My name is Teresa Bullitt Gordon, and I am here today with Karyne Wilner. We are here to talk to you about our upcoming alumni workshop in December at the Wisdom House called Welcoming Change, Moving Your Clients from Stuck to Flow. Welcome, Karyne.
Thank you. I'm really delighted to be here.
I'm glad to have you here too, Karyne. I'm just going to read your quick little bio. Actually, you know what? Why don't we not do that? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and give us your journey to CORE, especially for those who haven't had a chance to experience you.
Well, since this workshop is on change, I think my journey to CORE began with a big change. I walked into a ballroom where John Paracas, the father of core energetics, was speaking, and he didn't just give a speech. He asked people to volunteer to come up on stage and get a body reading. So this was in a Sheraton in Philadelphia, and everyone in the audience was raising their hands. And he called some people up, and I guess they undressed. And this was all very new to me. I'm like this with my eyes open. And and then he told them so much about their personality and their lives, and they hadn't opened their mouths. And I was just astounded. So at that time in my life, I was studying nonverbal communications, but I never saw anything like this. So I went up to him at the end, and I, like this little girl, I go, "Can I please study with you?" And he said, "Yes, send me your autobiography." So that was, my life changed in that moment, actually, because I had been doing research in the past, and I not so much therapy, and I just fell in love with the work, core energetics, with John and everything he had to teach me. So that's basically where I am. A little bit about me. I'm a psychologist. These were all changes I made. I got my doctorate in psychology. I adopted a child, Nicole, who some of you may have met, and I married again. And so all these things happened through core energetics. So I owe a lot to core, and I hope to bring some of that energy to this workshop.
Mm. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And so it's true. I mean, I think CORE really changed my life, and I mean, not exactly the same ways, but one of the things that just struck out at me also is like I adopted a child, right? My during that journey, I was at CORE when that happened. So I feel like my life drastically changed when I went to CORE.
Right.
So, and I think many of us that have graduated could say, probably can say that. So I think that you're right. Change is important, and I'm excited about this topic. Can you talk to us a little bit about why this workshop and why is change so important?
Well, I think, some of it's self-evident. If you don't change, you die. Change is very much a part of development and growth. In fact, in a lot of John's writings about core, he talks about it as an evolutionary process. And we are each in ourselves little evolutionary processes going on in our own bodies and beings. So to me, growth, personal growth, change, core energetics, working with your body, movement, all of that is extremely important. I consider myself a change agent, and in doing this workshop, and I don't, I'm hoping that you'll come as alumni, whether you have practices or not, because you're going to help other people change no matter what you're doing in life.
Mm.
Even if you're writing a book or building a home, you're helping people become different. And that's kind of what this workshop is about, is what are the best tools for ourselves and for other people for transformation, evolution, and change.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm thinking about myself, and yeah, like this work, I'm not a practitioner at the moment, but I see how it helps me so much in my everyday life with my child,
Mhm.
just with dealing with people, so and even this, right? Like this is like a new thing for me, interviewing people, right? It's a
Right,
change, and
exactly.
I've had to face a lot of things that I'm uncomfortable with, you know.
Right,
And
right.
you're right, like
You're
we're always
forced to
changing.
change, but the results are fantastic.
And we're always changing, and there it is an evolutionary process. Can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about what participants who come to the workshop might can expect to receive?
Well, I think first of all, I hope that you'll come whether you have practices or not, because I think what you'll receive is a better sense of authenticity, who you really are at the core level. Um, what we're going to do is have fun, build community, and at the same time, show how change begins with the body.
Mm,
So we're going to work with the body in ways that perhaps you haven't worked with it in core before. So we're going to show how small kinesthetic movements bring about change. I just have to, I'm going to go off this topic for a second to say that when I was first becoming a therapist, it was the 60s or the 70s, and the encounter group movements were very important. And we would go to these encounter groups and stay up all night or 2 nights. And some of them would be nude encounter groups and doing all this crazy stuff. And you made changes, and they were huge and they were monstrous, but nevertheless, they didn't stick
mm,
because it was too much for a person to really absorb. We can only change so much because there's a certain consciousness. We have to accept it and integrate it.
mm,
So what I want to work with is not just our normal core tools, which are important because they're based on charge and discharge, but sometimes that's too much change for a person. So I want to begin to teach some kinesthetic movements, smaller movements, which are more tolerable. So that's one thing that we'll do. It's going to be very experiential. So bring your body, bring your brain, bring your spiritual self, bring all of you. Um, and the other thing that I think is important when it comes to change is the verbal part. Whether you're confronting yourself or somebody else, you have to be willing to point out that something that the person may not be aware of. One example I use for my own life is in one of the first group therapies I attended. Someone said something to me about my smile, that it was inappropriate because they were talking about something sad. I didn't even know I was smiling.
mm,
So we do things out of awareness or out of habit. And somebody, the therapist or a friend, the companion, has to be able to say, hey, you're doing this. And change isn't always easy, and it's not pleasant to hear these things, but it's so helpful. Like I have tremendous gratitude to the person who pointed out my smile because it was inappropriate at that point in time. So
mm.
those are the kind of things we're going to work with is how to confront people, how to move our bodies differently than we've ever done before, and building community and having fun.
Yeah, I really like what you said about integration as well, and that change is not like this thing that just happens like overnight, and that it's like these little almost like moments or things like little actions that we take or things that we observe or sense or feel or get that, and they kind of, I don't know, my experience is that they build and then that change over time. For me, it's always been over time. It's not like, oh, I change overnight. It's something that
Right.
happens over time. And I love that you're talking about how to work with the body and how to support and getting that change in a small way that can be integrated by that
Yeah.
person and their body.
Right.
So
Right.
that's really great. What how will this workshop make a difference in people's practices, in their lives, in the world? Like, how do you see it making, by doing a workshop on change, how do you see this making a difference?
Well, I first of all, I think when you bring attention or consciousness to a subject, uh, it it begins to happen already. The change begins to happen just by us here at Cornergetics really emphasizing this. And right now we're living in a world where we need to change, and we every one of us, whether you're in practice or not, need to be a change agent. And what our work in core, and it's why I'm here, still here after all these years, it's about positivity. It's about coming into our higher self. It's about living from our heart. So the biggest change I can hope for in this workshop is that we open our hearts even more than they're already open, and we bring that beautiful love, transformational energy out into the world. And sometimes all you need to do is meditate or pray. I'm not saying you have to go do a lot of physical things to make it happen, but we will have an effect because of our transformational energy in the positive direction.
Mm, Thanks for saying. Is there anything else that you feel that is important for you to speak to right now that can help alumni decide, whether they want to come in December or not? Like something that you'd like to tell them that we haven't spoken
But
about?
I just want to emphasize, because I know not all alumni are working with clients right now, but so I want to emphasize that if you do have practices, this will really help you in an amazing way, because I'm going to show you various ways to work through resistance, which is very natural. We all have that no energy before we have the yes energy. So learning how to transform the no to yes for your clients will just improve your client base. But again, for so many of us, we need to change ourselves. Too many of us get scared. We get stuck in our rigid routines. In fact, you may not be signing up for the workshop because you're stuck in your rigid routine.
Mm,
So you need to take a step out of your normal life. And so this is really going to help us as much as it, every day I'm working on myself in this regard. So this is going to help us as much as our clients. And to me, that's really what it's all about. And so that's what I can share. And there will be, for people who need them or want them, we're going to offer continuing education credits. So if you're in one of the fields that can use them, that they will cover psychologists, counselors, social workers, body workers, everybody. So I hope you'll come and take advantage of that.
mm. Thank you, Karen. And yes, in addition to some of the things that Karen just mentioned, we also have our annual talent show that we hope you'll come out to see on Saturday night. And then we have, a beautiful sanctuary service on Sunday morning that alumni can participate. And, right now we're in a time where there's a lot of turmoil in the world. So coming together in community with people who where we can be authentic and just be with each other with open hearts, and or not, right? Like we can just show up as we are is really important. And so this is really an opportunity to be able to do that. So Karen, I really want to thank you for being willing to come and teach our alumni. I think that you have so much to offer. I'm really grateful to you for getting the CECs and for saying yes to coming in December. I am really hopeful that lots of people will show up and get to learn from you. And I just want to thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you very much, Teresa. So
Thank
thanks.
you. And to sign up, just click the link below the comment box in the comment section, and you'll find the registration page. Thanks for listening.